Hi and welcome to this video. In this video, I would like to teach you about different ways of defining constants. Let's begin. In the previous video, we learned about variables and constants. If the value keeps on changing from one time to another time, then we need to declare it as a variable. Examples for variables like product ID. One product ID will be different from another product ID. Product code. One product code will be different from another product code. And quantity. One product we may order quantity 1 or another product we may order quantity 10. So in such cases we need to declare them as variables like this. Let's say if you don't want to allow to change the value of the data item once it is initialized, then we need to declare the data item as constant. Let's say for example we want to declare a data item which is maximum quantity. We want to allow any product a maximum quantity of 15 items only. Then we need to declare as a constant like this. const as the maximum quantity is integer, we need to declare the data type as integer, and if it is a constant, we need to give the name of the data item in capital letters, and as there are two words, we need to separate them with underscore. As we want to allow maximum of 15 numbers, we need to declare like this. So once we initialize the value to this data item, as it is constant, it will not allow to change, or we can say it will not allow to modify its value. So these three data items are variables and this data item is a constant. And there are three ways of defining the constants. Let's see what are those three ways. The first way, as we already learned, that is by using the keyword const. Const is a keyword in general. In specific, this const is called type qualifier. Please make a note of it. Now, let's see the second way of defining the constant, that is by using define. Define is preprocessor directive. It's like header file. We know that header file is also preprocessor directive. And we need to declare constant using define preprocessor directive like this. We know that each preprocessor directive should begin with hash. We already use like hash include stdio.h. Similarly, we need to write here hash and we need to write define. After that, we need to write the name of the data item and the value of the data item. The value of the data item is 3.14. And all preprocessor directives we need to write in the linkage section. And we know the structure of writing a C program. First we need to write the comment line section. After that we need to write linkage section. After that we need to write main function section. As printf function is defined in the header file stdio.h, which is preprocessor directive, we are going to include like this stdio.h. Similarly, if we want to define the constant using define preprocessor directive, we need to write here only. I mean in the linkage section like this hash define. The identifier or data item is pi and the value is 3.14. It means the syntax is like this. Hash define, we are writing data item and the value of the data item. Where this data item is also called identifier, and more specifically when we use define, this is also called as symbolic name. And we can use this value with the name of this identifier in the program whenever it is required. Let's say for example we want to calculate the area and circumference of the circle. Area is pi r square and circumference is 2 pi r. Let's say we declare the radius like this and we want to calculate the area and circumference. We are going to write like this area. We need to assign the value of the area with the formula pi into r into r. Similarly, circumference 2 into pi into r. And this hash define is also called macro. The macros concept will works like this. After we wrote the program, we know that it is called source code. Once we write the program, we are going to compile the program to translate this source code into the machine code. So when we compile the program, before the translation process, first pre-processing takes place. The name itself is saying that pre means before. Like this, it will check where this macro is used. As this is used in these two places, first this one and this one will be replaced by their values, which is 3.14. Now pre-processing is completed. Then now this source code is going to be translated into machine code by the compiler. After that, we are going to run the program. Okay, so this is the way hash define preprocessor directive will work. And one more thing I would like to say here. Here we define the macro for the float value. Similarly, we can define for other data types also, which are integer, character and string. Like this. Here I define a constant called discount code and the value I am assigning is this one. If you notice here, the value is string. That's why I represented between the double quotes. So this is the way of defining a string constant using hash define macro. And here I define max quantity. Its value is 15. So this one is integer constant. Similarly, we can define character constant also. Okay. And we can also use this hash define preprocessor directive for defining small functions also. That one we will see in the functions concept. Now, let's write this program in our code blocks ID, run and see. Let's create a new file. Let's save this program. Let's write our program here. Okay, this is the program we discussed just now. I defined all the four types of constants and we take the radius 4.5 and we are calculating the area and circumference. After that, I am displaying these values. First, I am displaying pi value equal to, in place of percentage f, the value of pi will be displayed. And as pi is a float value, float gives maximum of 6 decimals. We want only 2 decimals. I given dot to f. After the pi value is displayed, the slash n will move the cursor to the next line. And after that, I am displaying discount code equal to, as discount code is a string value, I use percentage s. In place of percentage s, the value stored in the discount code will be displayed. After that, slash n will move the cursor to the next line. Similarly, I am displaying max quantity, which is of integer. We use the format specifier percentage d for digit. After that, we are displaying the code, which is character type. That's why we use the format specifier percentage c. The value stored is in the data item code. After that, we are displaying the calculated value of area and circumference with the headings. And these also are of float type. That's why we use the format specifier percentage f. And these two also we are displaying only 2 decimals instead of 6 decimals. Okay. Now let's save the program, compile, run and see. Our program was compiled successfully. Let's run the program. So here is the output. This is the way we can also define the constants using hash define preprocessor directive apart from the keyword const. And also the third way of defining constant is using the keyword enum. Enum is a keyword. Its full form is enumeration. Actually, enum is an user-defined data type. C is having different data types like primitive data types, derived data types and user-defined data types. Using this enum, we can define the constants, but we can define only integer constants. If you want to declare a group of integer constants in which the value should be in sequence like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, we can define using this keyword enum. how to declare the group of integer constants using enum and how to use them in our program, we can see in the user defined data types concept. But for now, just make a note of it. So, totally there are three ways of defining constants. One is using const, it is a keyword and a type qualifier, and the second one is using hash define preprocessor directive, it is also called macro, and the third one is using enum user defined data type. But using enum we can define only integer constant. We will stop here for now. Thank you very much for watching this video. I will see you in the next video.